I thought our love story ended when her parents forced us apart at 17. 12 years later, standing at her wedding altar as she married someone else, I never imagined the twist fate had waiting. Sometimes the universe saves the best plot twist for when you least expect it. If you've ever believed in second chances or wondered if true love really conquers all, you need to hear this story. Hit that like button if you're ready for a roller coaster of emotions. And don't forget to subscribe because trust me, you won't want to miss how this ends. My name is Jake, and this is the story of how I lost everything, found myself, and discovered that sometimes love takes the longest route home. I was 17 when I first saw Anna walking down the hallway at Lincoln High. She had this laugh that could light up an entire room. And when she smiled at me that first day, I swear the world stopped spinning. We were just kids, but what we had felt bigger than anything I'd ever experienced. We'd spend hours talking about our dreams, our fears, our plans for the future. I knew I wanted to marry her before we even graduated. Anna came from money, the kind of family that had their name on buildings downtown. Her father owned half the businesses in our city, and her mother was always hosting charity galas and country club events. Me? I lived in a tiny apartment with my mom, who worked 2 jobs just to keep us afloat. My dad had left when I was 12, and we'd been scraping by ever since. But Anna never cared about any of that. When she looked at me, she saw possibility, not poverty. We dated for 2 beautiful years. Every Friday night, we'd drive to the old quarry outside town and talk until the sun came up. She'd rest her head on my shoulder while I told her about my plans to start my own business someday, how I'd work my way up from nothing and prove that where you come from doesn't determine where you're going. She believed in me when I barely believed in myself. The night I planned to ask her to prom was the night everything changed. I'd saved up for months to buy her a corsage and rent a decent suit. I was walking up to her front door, flowers in hand, when her father opened it before I could even knock. He looked at me like I was something he'd scrape off his shoe, and that's when I knew this conversation wasn't going to go the way I'd hoped. "You need to stay away from my daughter," he said, his voice cold as winter. "This little romance of yours ends now." Behind him, I could see Anna's mother standing in the hallway, her arms crossed, her face set in stone. Anna wasn't anywhere to be seen, but I could hear crying coming from upstairs. I tried to explain that I loved Anna, that we had plans, that I would do anything to prove myself worthy of their daughter. But her father cut me off with a laugh that had no humor in it. "You think love is enough? You think because you make my daughter smile, you can give her the life she deserves? You work at a gas station, boy. Anna has been accepted to Stanford. She has a future, and it doesn't include someone like you." The words hit me like physical blows, but I stood my ground. "Let me talk to her. Let Anna decide for herself." That's when I saw her appear at the top of the stairs, her face streaked with tears, her eyes red and swollen. She looked at me with such pain that it nearly broke me right there. "Anna has already decided." Her mother spoke up for the first time. "She knows what's best for her future. Don't you, sweetheart?" Anna looked between her parents and me, and I watched as her shoulders sagged in defeat. She nodded slowly, unable to meet my eyes. "I'm sorry, Jake," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I can't do this anymore." "We can't do this anymore." Those words shattered something inside me that I didn't even know could break. Her father stepped closer to me, lowering his voice so only I could hear. "If you really love my daughter, you'll walk away and never contact her again. You'll let her have the life she was meant to have. Can you do that for her?" I looked up at Anna one last time, memorizing her face, trying to hold on to every detail. Then I turned around and walked away from the only girl I'd ever loved. The next few months were the darkest of my life. Anna left for Stanford that fall, and I threw myself into work. I took on extra shifts at the gas station, started doing construction on weekends, anything to keep my mind off the gaping hole in my chest where my heart used to be. My mom watched me work myself to exhaustion and finally sat me down one evening. "Son, I know you're hurting, but you can't let this destroy you. Use this pain. Let it fuel something better." That conversation changed everything for me. I realized that Anna's father had been right about one thing. I couldn't give Anna the life she deserved, not yet. But maybe someday I could. I enrolled in community college while working full-time, studying business and finance late into the night. Every grade, every achievement, every small success was dedicated to proving that love could be enough if you were willing to work for it. I told myself that if I could just become successful enough, maybe Anna's parents would see me differently. Maybe Anna would see me differently. After 2 years at community college, I transferred to the state university on a partial scholarship I'd earned through my grades and my work with the campus entrepreneurship program. I started a small landscaping business with a loan I'd saved up for, working clients' yards during the day and studying at night. Slowly, painfully, I built something from nothing. I graduated with honors and expanded my business into commercial property management. By the time I was 25, I owned 3 office buildings and employed 15 people. I drove a nice car, lived in a decent apartment, and had more money in my savings account than my mom had ever dreamed of. But none of it filled the Anna-shaped hole in my life. I heard about her occasionally through mutual friends from high school. She'd graduated from Stanford with a degree in art history, spent a year in Paris studying at the Louvre, and was working at a prestigious museum in New York. She was living the sophisticated life her parents had always wanted for her, and I tried to be happy for her, even as part of me wondered if she ever thought about what we'd had. Then, on a rainy Tuesday morning in October, I found an envelope in my mailbox that made my hands shake. My name was written in handwriting I recognized immediately, even after all those years. Inside was a cream-colored wedding invitation with elegant gold lettering. Anna Catherine Morrison and Thomas William Hayes request your presence at their wedding ceremony. I stared at that invitation for what felt like hours. Anna was getting married to someone named Thomas Hayes, who I later learned was the son of her father's business partner, a man who'd inherited a fortune and fit perfectly into Anna's world. The wedding was in 6 weeks, at the country club where her parents were members, the same place we used to drive past as teenagers and joke about crashing their fancy parties. My first instinct was to throw the invitation away and pretend I'd never received it. What could possibly be gained by watching the woman I'd never stopped loving marry someone else? But something about receiving it at all felt intentional. Anna could have easily left me off the guest list, but she hadn't. She'd sent it to my business address, which meant she'd gone out of her way to find out where I was, what I was doing with my life. For weeks, I went back and forth about whether to attend. My business partner thought I was crazy for even considering it. "Why would you do that to yourself?" he asked. But I knew I had to go. I needed to see Anna happy, needed to know that the sacrifice we'd both made had been worth it. I needed closure. The morning of the wedding, I put on my best suit, a far cry from the rented tuxedo I'd planned to wear to our high school prom all those years ago. I drove to the country club with sweaty palms and a racing heart, telling myself I'd sit in the back, watch the ceremony, and slip out before anyone noticed me. I just needed to see that she was okay, that she'd found the happiness she deserved. The country club was decorated like something out of a fairy tale. White roses and baby's breath covered every surface, and sunlight streamed through the tall windows, casting everything in a golden glow. I found a seat in the last row, behind a large pillar where I could see the altar, but remain relatively hidden from view. The guests were exactly what I'd expected: men in expensive suits discussing stock portfolios, and women in designer dresses comparing vacation homes. When the music started and the wedding party began their procession, my heart nearly stopped. Anna's bridesmaids walked down the aisle in soft pink dresses, followed by her maid of honor, who I recognized as her college roommate. Then came the moment I'd been dreading and anticipating in equal measure. The bridal march began, and Anna appeared at the back of the church on her father's arm.
People ask me if I ever regret those 12 years we lost, if I'm bitter about the time we could have had together. The truth is, I think we needed those years apart. I needed to become someone who could stand on his own, someone who could be Anna's partner rather than her burden. Anna needed to discover who she was when she wasn't trying to live up to everyone else's expectations. We both needed to learn that love isn't just about feeling something. It's about choosing something every single day, even when it's hard. Sometimes the greatest love stories aren't about never being apart. Sometimes they're about finding your way back to each other when the whole world tells you it's impossible. Sometimes they're about being brave enough to choose love over security, authenticity over acceptance, hope over fear. Our story could have ended when we were 17, with 2 broken hearts and a lifetime of what-ifs. Instead, it became a story about second chances, about the power of timing, about the way true love can wait 12 years and still feel like coming home. If this story moved you, smash that like button and let me know in the comments. Do you believe in second chances? Have you ever had a love that got away? Subscribe for more incredible true stories that prove love really can conquer all. And remember, sometimes the best chapters of our lives are still being written.